So next I'm going to work on this piece. I'll make all of the tubes at the same time, so I'll do that later. This part's a lot easier to make, mostly flat and square, so I measured it and drew a picture of it in the plasma cam, and we're going to cut this out a 3/16 plate. That's what the original is. This part down here is the tab that's going to be welded onto the side. Alright, I got this piece deburred, ran it on the belt sander a little bit. Same way with this. Now there's a top and a bottom because this last tooth is a little bit different shape, so. So I need to try to bend this. I'm going to put a line across here. I'm going to just line these up side by side. Use a little square so I can square up on this edge here. We're over at the hydraulic press again. This is the tools that you saw me use last time to make that other piece with. So I have this other tool that I made for some previous project where I was bending some 1/4 inch plate. Now we're looking in the end of the press here. I added a mark on each side of the part so that I could see where to line up the pressing tool, because this tool's wider, you can't see the line from on top. That looks bent a little farther than the original. See how much it springs back. That's pretty close for first try. Alright, I'm going with that. I think we're looking pretty good so far. I went ahead and cleaned up the welds on the back side of there. So putting this tubing on here is the last thing I got to do. I just happen to have some mild steel tubing here. The outside's the right diameter, but I need to drill out the inside to make it the same as this and cut it off to length. So I'll probably do all that in the lathe. Alright, I got this piece of tubing. I need to face off the end of it. And then we need to drill a hole. First one's going to be 3.5 inches long. So, be pretty much burying the drill bit there. I pulled the part out of the collet there. This one needs to be 3.5 inches long. So I scale to the edge of the cutoff tool right here. I got the part turned around. Looks like didn't quite drill far enough from the other side, so we'll have to go in there with the drill from this side. Gonna face off about 5/1000 here just to get a good finish. There with the chamfer tool. A little bit of deburr on the outside. Alright, there's the big one. And I'll do that 2 more times and make 2 shorter ones. I got all the pieces made. Just finished making these round parts. They have a clearance hole for the rod that goes through there. So the next thing I need to do is weld these to each of those pieces. So what I want to do is clamp these tubes so they're in position right on the edge of that plate. So to do that, I calculate the difference between the thickness of the tube and the thickness of the plate, divide that by 2, and then you have to come up with the shim stack that measures that amount. Now I put the long part of the clamp down so it doesn't get in the way when they're trying to weld up here. I got some lines here where these line up. Make sure your shims aren't sticking out here in the way. Normally when you're using these vice grips, you don't like to have your jaws that far open because they're on an angle. In this case, I'm using that angle to help push this round part up against the other part. Okay, so those are held in position. Compare the positions of this. So this is how that fits in there. And there's how it's going to fit in the new part. For this piece, I'm not going to try to use spacers or anything. Basically just eyeballing it in the center of that flange. Looks like it's about the same as the original. I did put them next to each other and make marks based on where the old one was. Simply transferred the position. Well, I got the weld cleaned up. Doesn't look too bad. Should hold good anyway. I went ahead and made a rod. This is just a standard purchased zinc plated rod. I heated up the end to bend it. Got a hole in the end for the cotter pin. So that's what it looks like. Well, I did a pretty good job duplicating this 61 cover. Too bad that's not really what I needed. I went ahead and straightened up this original cover here, and it quickly became apparent that the hinge is in a different place right here. And another difference is the underside lip is not bent at the same angle. It's not bent under as far. So there was a couple of changes they did between those model years. Now this piece turned out nice and it'll still be good. I'm going to go ahead and remake another cover here. Put the hinge in the right place. good part about it is it'll take a lot less time because I already got the fixture made. I'm going to see if I can use this soft-faced mallet instead of the hammer this time. Well, that did pretty well with the soft hammer. It's got it flat down against the surface, and the surface is not marked up. Alright, this one looks pretty good. I got this angle here bent a little bit less so that it matches the original better. Got a new tube made. That should fit on there about like that. So all that's left is welding the tube to this guard. This will go on top here now, where it should be. Alright, I got this tube clamped on here. I think it's in the right position. On the underside, my clamp would have interfered with that angle, so I cut a piece of wood with an angle and clamped it in place first, just to give my clamps a square area to clamp on. Got it lined up with the other tube. I think that's where it's going to go. Got this piece tack welded in position, so I wanted to make sure it would work before I went farther. I had to grind away some of the weld on the bottom side to allow this to fold down far enough. It needs to fold down far enough where it's not supporting this one. I also made a different pin. With this position here, there's not really a good way to get a cotter pin through a hole. And this pin over here doesn't even have holes for cotter pins. I did not take that one out. So I made a pin here with a collar, so that collar keeps it trapped in there. So the pin will come out if you unbolt all that and take it off. Well, that's what it looks like bolted on there. I painted it with some gray primer. I'm going to leave it like that because I don't have any green paint that would match well. Alright, I think that's a success there. Looks pretty decent. Looks like it's supposed to be on there.